tell us about mountain biking in California, Utah, whatever it was you did.
Yeah, we so like I said, I'm from Laguna Beach. We flew out west. My wife couldn't join me this time, so I decided to make a guy's trip out of it. And I had other friends who were flying out to Colorado for a concert at Red Rocks, which was kind of a bucket list of mine. So we put a pin on that date and kind of worked backwards 2 weeks and started in California, hung out with friends of mine, saw my dad, but we had fun. We played golf. We went to bars, body surfed. I went to the Whiskey A Go Go. Brad's a musician. His dream was to go there and then eat at the Rainbow, a bar next door where hard rockers like to hang out. Then we went on from there to Las Vegas again to stay with some good friends of mine, go boating out on Lake Mead, seeing the Hoover Dam from a different perspective, and then really began the part of the trip where a lot of new things for me were too. Up until that point, it was all knowns for me.
Yeah, so Brad's a musician, so the Whiskey A Go Go and all that stuff.
He's a guitarist, so he loves all that stuff. Moab as a mountain biker, I started mountain biking when I was in college on the West Coast, and really got into it when I lived in Europe. I lived at the base of the Alps. I've crossed the Alps 3 times, straight before the lot.
We're about the same age, and I started mountain biking about the same time.
Right.
And I have ridden in Moab, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So was it warm?
Yeah, we had to start the tour at 6:30 in the morning because by 10 it was 104.
Right. That's what
I
remember.
Yeah,
about Moab
we did about a 5-hour tour, and it was hotter than hell.
Yeah.
But it's amazing the different landscapes that you see there. How many different landscapes in such a compact area.
Yes.
It turns out my brother lives an hour south of Moab, so we went and spent a night with him, but he also showed us some things off the beaten path, which were just amazing, where you drive 30 miles off a dirt road and end up at just this point with a cavernous view of canyon lands and Colorado River off in the distance, and it's beautiful. From there we started working our way towards Vail, and Vail is a place I've been many times in the winter skiing, but never seen it in the summer, and it felt almost like home. It felt like in the Austrian Alps, which is where I've spent most of my time skiing from the time I lived in Germany, and because Vail Village is Austrian, basically, for lack of a better term. They've taken Austrian names, Austrian dishes, German beers, and turned it into a really high-class resort. When you're walking through the town in the summer with the flowers and the window dressing everywhere, it really feels like.
Speaking of Aspen?
No, Vail.
Oh, in Vail. I'm sorry. I got lost for a minute. Yeah. So in Vail, it's a very European experience?
Yes, very European feel, at least in the village. I know there's different parts, but not at Lion's Head, but in the village, it feels very Austrian. The names of the hotels and restaurants are all Germanic, and it's very beautiful with the creek running through it, just people on bikes and different things everywhere. And Brad is good at meeting people. Within a half hour, he had got us free. I wanted to bike up the mountain. He's a lazy bastard. He got us free tickets for the lift to get us up the mountain.
I love it.
But I made him go much higher anyway. We had a blast. We rented a couple e-mountain bikes and spent 4 or 5 hours cruising around up there, and it was awesome. Beautiful, beautiful scenery and a good time.
And what happens with your business and your investments at home while Annetta's traveling for work? I mean, she's not here working the business.
No, she doesn't take care of, other than cosmetic additions to the business, how things should look, how we design properties that we Airbnb. She's not in the day-to-day at all. That's all me.
She's not in operations of the business.
She's not in the operation. So luckily I didn't have any flips going on during this time, but as far as my Airbnbs and my daily business, I was able to, manage that around it, either because I have systems in place that allow me to do that, which is the case for the short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And for everybody else, If it wasn't urgent, I pushed it back 2 weeks. And for everything that was urgent, you can take calls, you can make calls, spending
Right.
hours in the car. Doesn't matter whether you're sitting at a cafe with a beer in front of you and looking at the mountains. You can still do your business from on the road,
Yeah.
and
One of my
that's just that freedom is one of the big reasons I got into this. You know,
Yes, yes, absolutely. One of my favorite ridiculous sayings is the great thing about 2025 is you can work from anywhere, and the terrible thing is you can work from
work
anywhere.
from anywhere. Yeah,
So you can't really completely escape it, but I mean, you have systems in place, you have people doing what they do.
right.
So, is it fair to say that an hour or two per day is enough to
Definitely to keep things going and keep things
yeah.
moving. Yes,
So
it's not enough
not like
to
we've
start new
abandoned.
business and things like that, but
Right.
yeah,
So
to keep
when
the
you
status
or I
quo.
are mountain biking in Moab, it's not like we've abandoned our business
No,
entirely. It's just that
correct.
there's no requirement to be in a specific place at a specific time because of the way the
Right.
investments in the business are
Yeah.
structured. Yeah.
And for most of the business partners we're dealing with, be it property management, be it agents, be it whatever, the unless you're trying to get something closed that day, unless your house is on fire, it's all stuff that can wait an hour or two until you're in a better
Right.
place to have that conversation.
Right. Until you're finished with lunch or mountain biking or,
Right.
you know, hiking or whatever you're doing that day. I've told the story before, but when we went on our big RV trip, I closed two deals from Yellowstone National
Mm-hmm.
Park, which was very, very difficult because there's no cell signal.
Right.
And so I'm standing on a bench outside the Yellowstone Lodge. You know, I'm 6'3" and I'm holding the phone up
Trying to
above
get a
my
signal.
head, thinking that's going to give me more signal, and trying to listen to an agent walk me through a repair addendum on a property. But then I went in the lodge and I said, we're not staying here. I'm dirty, I'm sweaty. We're staying in the campground in the camper. And they were so gracious to say, I said, I need to print some things. I'm happy to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, et cetera. I
Yeah.
said, I'm not a guest at the lodge. And he gave me, the man at the front desk gave me a room key. And he said, don't go to the room, but this room key will open the business office.
Uh,
And he
awesome.
said, no charge, whatever. There's a landline phone in there. And I was able to call and fax and print and spend about 2 hours and close the deal. And then we went and watched the sunset over the,
Yeah.
the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, they call it. It's gorgeous.
Right.
So that's one of the things I love. And I mean, you just did this last month.
Right.
Is we don't have to abandon or neglect our investments or our business to go have an adventure like that.
No, you don't. You don't. It works. California is only a 3 hour time difference. I've done it from Europe many times. Been skiing in the Alps and have to do that. And it's just a different time of day. You wake up early and you get stuff done because you're 6 hours ahead, and then you have a break, and then at night you can clean up whatever happened during the day. For the most part, it works out really well.
Yeah. Yeah. We just have to adjust to it and adjust thinking. You're sitting in your office, I'm sitting in my office, but
Right.
we don't have to be here all the time
No,
to get things done.
I don't sit in my office very often.
I know. I know. I wouldn't either if I had a pool and a dock like you do. I'd be
Yeah.
out in the pool or out on the dock or traveling
Yeah.
like we do.
Right.
So the 75 units we went through, I feel like we did it together, even though I just was listening.
Right.
But you went through eminent domain. You got a pretty good payday from that after a lot of, stress and work.
Right.
And then the mobile home parks, for those of you not from South Carolina, Orangeburg is an interesting area. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So you told us some stories about drive-by shootings, and
Yeah.
I have not heard of people stealing the metal siding off of a mobile home. That's probably a first for me. So there's that. And now you are pretty deep into the Airbnb space, right?
Yeah. So I still have about 50 properties, 50 doors put it that way. 30 of those are in North Charleston still. So of the 75, I still have about 30. I've sold some off over time and done those 1031 exchanges, turned that into properties that I own in Columbia or in Jacksonville, Florida. And then 3 years ago, my wife and I decided we wanted to look at the Airbnb side of things, short-term rental side of things, and started investing in Beaufort, which is an hour and a half south of here. You know it very well since you're from that area. Quaint little town, quaint little waterside town between Charleston and Savannah that just has a lot of charm and a slower pace than here. And so
I'll be spending Saturday and Sunday in Beaufort. My parents live there. I have a lot of friends there.
Right.
It's a beautiful little town, very small town.
It is. And then you have Port Royal, which is not right next to
Port
which
Royal
has
is
its own
wonderful.
charm.
Yep.
And that's all about 15 minutes apart. So
How many short-term rentals?
I have 4 short-term rentals down there, 2 historic downtown Beaufort properties, which, as you can imagine, were a much heavier lift in terms of the renovation of these. Not just because more work had to be done; they had not been lived in. The main house had not been lived in 30 years. It was an art gallery and frame shop, and the ADU has never been lived in. It was a concrete floored bunker, basically, that they had lathes mounted and things to woodworking tools. And so I was able to renovate the first one in about 6 months. The second one took over a year.
Yes.
Those are both up and running. You have to deal with things like historic review boards when you renovate historic properties, and that I can tell you was a pain.
Yes.
But
I was
something you just have to plan for.
That, but you just said it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And nonetheless, you hit things that you don't plan for. Like you can tell me if that's too much in the weeds, but if you remember, I hit a point then where I was ready to rent it, and then I was told you can't rent or sell it for 2 years because I signed a little piece of paper to get around using an overly expensive contractor. I said, I'll do the work myself. And they said, well, here, then sign this. But I didn't read the fine print, and nobody told me about it that said if you do it yourself, you can't rent or sell the property for a minimum of 2 years. And since renting that property out was the mainstay of my business, I then started looking for attorneys who could help me get out of this mess after the county would not help. Right. They said, you have to deal with Columbia now, and it's a state thing. And but $4,000 later, I was able to reverse that mess and start. I lost, I want to say 3 months in the process. Then we purchased one in Port Royal and another one in Beaufort, kind of on the border. And the homes they target different audiences in such that Beaufort is more either young families with children or older couples coming to town either for weddings or because they want to live in a place that they stayed many years ago in Beaufort. A lot of people coming back who moved up north, moved to Montana, who lived in Beaufort 30 years ago and just want to spend a month or two over the winter months in a place they know. And the other 2 are more targeted towards, we have one of the largest United States Marine Corps, Paris Island.
Well, there are only 2 training bases.
Right.
One's in California and one's in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Right. And so we have a lot of military families coming to celebrate their graduates.
Yes.
So we target the 2 homes that are closer to Paris Island more towards that group. The one's called Fort Freedom, and it's all red, white, and blue wherever you look, and they love that.
Yeah. When we come out of the boat from my parents' dock into the main river, you're looking at Paris Island. Right across.
Right.
It's a big part of Beaufort, South Carolina, is the Marine Corps Air Station and the Paris Island training facility. So it's a great place for short-term rentals. I'm really interested to hear that there are people spending months there. Previously had some rentals in the Florida Keys, and people would do that, just go for months at a time. When Lake Huron was frozen over,
yeah,
they would spend 2 or 3 months in the Florida Keys. So
Right.
I didn't know that about Beaufort. That
Well,
makes a lot of
I
sense.
don't know how many people there are. I'm trying to capitalize on that market because there is definitely a season
Right.
in this part of the country, and it starts in the middle of April and it shuts down in October basically.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, in terms of short term rentals,
See, and to
so
me,
keeping
I
them.
would rather be in the Low Country in November
Yeah,
and December than any other time of year.
right.
And it's funny that people stop coming. To me, it's funny. It's like November
So
is
the
my
two
favorite month
properties that
here.
are closer to Paris Island churns
Yeah,
Marines out on a constant basis, with the exception of like a 3 week break around Christmas and New Year's.
right.
So that's pretty good, but especially for the downtown Beaufort properties, I have started marketing to snowbirds, and that's where I usually get these older couples who come down and spend 1, 2, or 3 months. So
Oh, that's
I've
nice.
rented
Yeah.
one out now for 3 months and give them like a 30% discount, but it's still, I used to give a 50% discount
Oh, wow.
just to have butts and seats, to have the bills
Sure,
paid, to have the
sure.
mortgage taken care
You
of,
have that consistency.
to have some consistency over the winter months, because the short term rentals are few and far between, and
Right.
a couple weekends at $200 a night isn't gonna do it. So
Gotcha.
I've turned to that. So one is taken care of. The other one has 1 month booked, and then some weeks booked. We'll see. I'm playing with it. The one I've got booked, like I said, for 3 months now. The other one, I'm looking at to see what weekly minimums instead of 2 night minimums
Hmm.
will do, if that will get me some more. So it's still, I've only been doing it for 2.5 years now, so still learning. And I took over management of all of my properties away from property managers, which I used in the beginning, and that has been a big upside. And again, I paid somebody who knew what they were doing to
Yes.
show me how to manage this myself, set
Right.
up systems and platforms so that everything goes into one area. It works 90% that way. Unfortunately, there are still technical glitches. So sometimes you have to chase. I just found out that I lost a potential reservation, because the booking.com reservation was not forwarded in time to my overriding platform.
Hmm.
And I didn't find out about it until it was expired.
Okay, so what's the lesson there? I mean, how do you change that in the future?
I guess beat up on the platform so that things like that don't happen. I mean, they warned us about it, so I don't even know if it's their glitch. That
Yeah.
would mean, though, you'd have to go. I have a platform which allows me to look at Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com. All comes to my platform. But if
Okay.
one of them isn't sending the message, I don't know how to fix that. That means I'd have to go back to each individual platform to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. That's not time efficient. That's the whole
Gotcha.
reason I have a platform.
Right. Right. What's the point of the platform if it doesn't
Right.
function?
So there, every
Yeah.
once in a while, things happen that I guess are beyond control. The learning out of it is, and the platform has also made this possible. I'm moving towards direct bookings. I've set up my own website, and I'm collecting the information on everybody who's ever rented from me, and now I can communicate with them directly to try and have them book through me rather than through, let's say, Airbnb or VRBO in the future, and that saves them money
Yes.
because they pay about 15-17%, depending on who they're booking through,
Yeah.
and I only charge 5.
Right. So lessons, I mean, there's so many good lessons in this discussion. Both Tom and I paid a pretty significant amount of money for somebody to teach us how to get started in this, because it's not common knowledge. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
And it's only simple if you understand how the process works. And then one of the things I love about Tom is I can depend on him to consistently be there, be honest. And the network that we've formed together, I think, has been huge. Buying 75 units from Dusty and his partner, and then having the support to go through eminent domain, the whole story that you've told.
Yeah.
going through and figuring out you really don't love and owning low-end mobile home parks. So you operated them for a while and then liquidated those. And now I had heard you talk about the drama with the renovations in Beaufort in the historic properties. When I got to see them, when I came with you and visited them, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I could not even tell. I mean, you told the story as we walked through, but looking at them, I would never have known that there was a struggle of turning
Yeah.
it from a wood shop and a, frame store into these beautiful Airbnb residences.
Yeah, they're that, and that's kind of what I like about the flipping component. You're changing something, and
Yeah.
you see that. Now it's the Airbnb is not a fire and forget. It means you have to keep it beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's why I go down to Beaufort every couple of weeks. But it's okay because I like Beaufort. If it
It's
were
a nice
in
place to
Columbia
visit.
or Orangeburg, I wouldn't like to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So choose
absolutely.
your markets wisely. Also,
Yeah.
if you plan on being boots on the ground.
Went to a bar, refused to shine. I didn't buy no beer and said, I tell you what, my name is Russ. I'm on the mic. So listen to my podcast show. Russ might say a thing or two that you don't want to hear. Tell you what he's thinking, just some good ideas. He's got some rowdy friends, he's gonna have them on the show. If you need some information, Russ will tell you where to go. If you feeling down or feeling mighty low, Russ will talk about money and watching that money grow. His name is Russ. He's got the microphone.